What set
What
that
set it off?
No one was in here.
Was it this?
No, it was this.
No, there's a little
it
thing
was
in here.
this little girl on the.
Today, I'm going to show you 5 real videos that were never supposed to be recorded. The kind that leaves experts arguing, divers panicking, and viewers wondering how anyone survived. And in one of them, a great white shark nearly gets inside a steel cage with a diver trapped inside. And the only reason he's alive today is because of a single ladder. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that. If you're a fan of strange, dark, and absolutely unbelievable footage, you're in the right place. I upload twice a week, so sneak into the like button's house and swap their shampoo with mayonnaise. Not harmful, but confusing. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's get into today's stories. In October 2017, a group of tourists arrived at Guadalupe Island, a place famous for crystal clear water and some of the largest great white sharks ever filmed. Among them was a diver who booked this trip for one reason: capture peaceful underwater footage from inside a steel shark cage. The morning was calm, the water was unbelievably clear, nothing unusual at all. But minutes after the diver entered the cage, he noticed something strange. A massive great white was circling unusually close, not cruising past like they normally do, but angling upward, almost probing the cage. At first, he thought it was curiosity. It wasn't. Moments later, the shark lunged at a chunk of bait. The momentum carried its entire body upward toward the cage window. In a split second, its head slammed through the opening, forcing the entire cage backward. The diver's regulator ripped from his mouth as the shark thrashed violently, its teeth grinding against the steel bars. And here's where things get terrifying. The only barrier stopping the shark from fully entering the cage was the aluminum ladder on the top. On deck, another diver screamed, "Is he inside? Is he inside the cage?" The crew panicked as the shark, now stuck, twisted harder. When the shark finally burst upward through the top hatch, the cage looked empty. Viewers assumed the diver was dead, but seconds later, he surfaced. He had escaped downward into a lower pocket of the cage just in time. To this day, divers say that if that flimsy ladder hadn't jammed in place, that shark would have entered fully, and the diver wouldn't have survived. What happened in that shark cage was terrifying because it was pure instinct. Raw nature doing what it does. But our next video is unsettling for a completely different reason, because this time, the thing causing fear wasn't alive at all. At least, it wasn't supposed to be. In 2021, a small group of paranormal investigators visited an abandoned home known locally as the Brennan House, a place rumored for years to be quiet during the day and impossible at night. The town had done dozens of ghost hunts before. Static cameras, EMF meters, EVP recorders, the usual. They expected creaking floors, temperature drops, maybe a door closing, nothing unusual. That changed the moment they found the doll. Near the back bedroom, sitting upright in a child-sized wooden chair, was a girl-sized doll, nearly 4 feet tall, dressed in a faded blue dress. Its face was too realistic. Porcelain skin cracked, eyes glassy but sharp. At first, the investigators laughed nervously. Then, without anyone touching it, the doll started playing music. A soft, chiming lullaby filled the room. Everyone froze.
What set
it off?
No one was in here.
Was it this?
No, it was this.
No, there's a little
it
thing
was
in here.
this little girl on the.
Thinking it might be a motion sensor, they stepped back. But the tune kept playing. Steady, mechanical, wrong. One investigator whispered, "Everyone shut up, listen." And in that moment of silence, something even stranger happened. The doll stopped. Not gradually, not winding down. It cut off instantly the moment they approached. They circled it cautiously. No batteries, no wind-up keys, nothing that could trigger sound. Someone swore they heard a voice whisper behind them, but when they turned, the hallway was empty. If you think this was a malfunction, wait. On their camera audio, one of them says quietly, "It knows we're here. Don't move." Another responds, "Step back. Just step back." They do, and the doll plays the music again. When they finally reviewed the footage later, they noticed something they hadn't caught in the moment. The doll's head shifted an inch to the left right before the sound started. No one saw it happen in real time. To this day, the team refuses to return. The house has since been boarded up. That video, the doll turning its head and playing music on its own, remains one of the most unsettling pieces of paranormal footage online. What happened with that doll was eerie because it challenged what we think objects can do on their own. But our next video isn't supernatural at all. And somehow, it's even more terrifying. Because this time, the danger didn't hide in a haunted house. It stood right in the middle of a state fair, in front of hundreds of people. Families filled the In July 2017, families filled the Ohio State Fair for what should have been a perfect summer evening. Bright lights, carnival games, and the loud clatter of rides spinning overhead. One of the most popular attractions was a massive pendulum-style ride called the Fireball. Riders were strapped into rows of seats, lifted into the air, and swung in wide arcs while the machine spun at high speed. It'd been operating at fairs across the country for years without major incident. To everyone watching, it looked completely safe. But during one of the evening cycles, a witness noticed something strange. A metal arm on the ride didn't seem to be swinging evenly. Seconds later, another bystander recorded a clip, and you can hear someone say, "That doesn't look right." Before anyone could react, the entire structure lurched violently. The ride continued spinning, but now with a sharp, unnatural shudder. People watching began yelling for the operator to stop. The arm swung upward one more time, and then the unimaginable happened. A full row of seats broke off midair, tearing away from the main structure. The detached section was flung across the fairgrounds, crashing into the ground with tremendous force. Screams erupted instantly.
Tonight we begin with breaking news. A horrific accident at the Ohio State Fair. One person is dead and 7 others
It all
injured.
happened in
After an
under
amusement
3
ride
seconds.
came apart, we're told.
It all happened in under 3 seconds. Witnesses later said, "It was like the ride exploded." Another recalled, "I saw people flying through the air. I'll never forget it." Emergency crews sprinted toward the wreckage. One rider, an 18-year-old man, died instantly. 7 others suffered life-threatening injuries. Investigators later confirmed a critical fracture on one of the ride's support beams. Corrosion hidden deep inside the metal that no one saw until it was too late. The video of that moment spread across the internet within hours, shocking millions. And to this day, the footage remains a haunting reminder that even the safest-looking rides can fail without warning, turning a summer night into a tragedy no one could stop. The Ohio Fair accident was horrifying because people trusted the machine that failed them. But our next video shows something even more personal. A moment where one person placed their entire life into a single rope, and that rope snapped. In Thailand, at a popular adventure park known for extreme sports, dozens of tourists lined up for what many called the highlight of their vacation, a 10-story bungee jump into a deep lagoon below. Among them was a tourist trying bungee jumping for the very first time. He was nervous, excited, and like everyone else, trusted the equipment completely. The platform crew strapped his harness, double-checked the cord, and gave the usual countdown. Everything seemed perfectly routine. But just as he leapt off the edge, arms spread wide, something felt wrong. A sharp crack echoed through the air. At first, people thought it was part of the setup, until they watched the cord whip upward, completely detached. The jumper was no longer falling. He was plummeting. In the crowd, screams broke out. People watched helplessly as the man free fell 10 stories, hitting the water so hard that witnesses said the splash sounded like a car crash. The jump operators froze in shock. Other tourists waiting in line backed away, some crying, some saying they would never try the jump again. And here's the terrifying part. If he had jumped just 1 second earlier or later, he would have missed the water entirely. One witness later said, "I thought I watched someone die. The cord didn't stretch. It just snapped." Another added, "He was so lucky he hit the water. Anyone else would have hit the ground." Miraculously, the tourist survived. Bruised, shaken, and struggling to swim, he was pulled from the lagoon and rushed to the hospital. Medical staff said the water impact could easily have broken his neck, but somehow it didn't. The video spread instantly online, terrifying thrill seekers everywhere. And for the people who were next in line that day, it changed everything. Because once you see a bungee cord snap in real time, it becomes almost impossible to step onto that platform again. Everything so far has been shocking. Machines failing, ropes snapping, moments where people were seconds from death. But our final video is different because this time the danger didn't come from nature or equipment. It came from 2 men holding a camera, and what they chose to record is still considered one of the darkest home videos ever captured. If the previous stories made your heart race, this one will stay with you long after the video ends. On December 22nd, 1990, in rural Utah, a VHS camera recorded what looked like a quiet Christmas morning. 2 men, Vaughn Taylor and Edward Deli, sat near a decorated tree, unwrapping gifts. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. Vaughn casually tore open presents. Edward filmed, laughing occasionally, focusing the camera on ribbons and boxes, as if they were documenting a normal holiday moment. But none of those gifts belonged to them. Viewers later noticed how Vaughn never smiled, never reacted, never expressed gratitude. He wasn't happy. He was bored because he knew something no one watching the tape did. Those presents were meant for a family that wasn't home yet. Vaughn held a gun in his lap while opening a child's gift. He read the tag out loud. Linny. He tossed the wrapping paper aside as if he were unwrapping trash, not a little girl's Christmas present. And the men weren't filming because they were celebrating. They were waiting. The Teta family, 6 people, were due back within hours. Later testimony revealed that Edward told one of the girls, "Praying won't help you. I only worship the devil." Vaughn remained silent, steady, cold, exactly like he was in the video. When the family returned, the men ambushed them. Within minutes, 3 members were dead, and 2 daughters were kidnapped as the cabin was set on fire. The attackers fled on snowmobiles through the mountains, unaware that one victim, Ralph, was still alive. Burned, blinded, and shot twice, he reached the road and whispered the words that triggered their capture. When police played the VHS footage in court, the room fell silent. It wasn't the murders that horrified people most. It was the calm, casual way Vaughn opened gifts meant for children he was preparing to kill. To this day, investigators call it one of the most disturbing home videos ever recorded, because sometimes the scariest thing caught on camera is a human being with no soul behind their eyes. We may never fully understand the moments we watched tonight, whether it was a shark nearly breaking into a metal cage, a doll that shouldn't have moved, or a camcorder capturing something far darker than the holidays. But one thing is certain, the camera never lies, even when we wish it did. If you enjoyed this video, check out the one on your screen now. And make sure to subscribe, because next week I'm covering 3 real stories of people who vanished moments after their doorbell camera stopped working. Cases so strange, investigators still don't agree on what happened. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.